Ah, that's what I meant to do. The only thing I can actually use there is the ring, so I'll take the ring. Acquire me some fighter chow.
Complete.
Apparently I just out-hosened that hosen just by insulting her the whole way. Oh, this is so much fun. I know, right, Seth? That's why I stopped to read it. I get that. Yeah, I did get the recipe for that. Good, good. Blessings of the Jade Serpent on you as well, Mr. Jinyu. I mean, I have done that quest before with the cook, but it's just always so funny to read it again. Golden Zoo, I choose you. Let's see just how sneaky I can be. Oh, it's fun, isn't it, Frog? I wonder if I can sneak up and grab this without aggroing him. Let's just see. Look at that. Who's the sneakiest cop around? I think it would be even better with the changes they've made, because there's more people are more spread out now, right? Especially right now, you're going to get a lot of people who are going to want to be in Northrend in the 60s, so you're going to get fewer people. Well, just think of it this way. You'll be able to queue up for the Ring of Blood, or not queue up, but you know what I mean. Be able to do the Ring of Blood with people who might be 10 levels higher than you. Yeah, Northrend's not something I'm looking forward to again right at the moment either, so I'm just gonna moonwalk back over here because I want to aggro that big old nasty giant there. Oh, Northrend's going to be hugely packed because people are going to want to do that because of the choke point that is normally Outlands. Nice. I am doing well tonight. I normally would never make that jump. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I think I turned around again. Or rather, I got turned around again. If I go up here, go like this. Ooh. Well, to be fair, Seth, if you did every quest in Outland, there should be no reason to go to Northrend. Like, you literally should have enough to get all the way through. That's how far the XP has been nerfed in Outland. Yeah, but see, the thing is though, they're falling short because they're not doing everything, right? It's not that they're falling short and they've done every single quest in the game. It's because they're only doing the quests that they normally know how to do in that zone, in that expansion. Well, and that especially, like Northrend. If you do Northrend correct, you should be able to avoid Outlands. Yeah. But you got to understand, they didn't increase the amount of XP needed above 60. It's still the same amount of XP. So you can still go from 60 to 70 in 2.5 zones. Well, and this is just it. But I tested it. I actually went on the PTR, and I have characters of every single level bracket, and I tested. There is no difference in the XP pre 7.3 to post 7.3 after you get above level 60. So there's no reason you couldn't do 60 to 70 in 2.5 zones. Heck, I did it when doing this character. I mean, that was pre 7.3, but it's still the same quests in the same zones, it's giving the same XP against the same XP needed. There's no reason they can't do it. Especially if you're mixing in dungeons. Well, and that's just it, too. The people who are complaining about stuff like this, I'm not even sure some of them play the game. They're complaining to complain. Okay, let's go turn this quest in. Oh, apparently I'm 108 and I didn't even realize it. There's a quest here. Oh yeah, this is I gotta rescue a bunch of goblins. I can do that for you. Thing is, too, if you've only ever done a couple of levels to get through Outland. Thank you. Like, if you've only ever done a couple of levels to get through Outland, and you're forced to start doing stuff deeper into Terrakar Forest and Shadow Moon Valley and Blade's Edge Mountains, those zones start really, really slow. I mean, really slow. But they do pick up. There are some really good quest hubs later on. But people are probably getting frustrated and stopping. Saying, there's no way I can make it all the way through with it like this. Thank you. Thank you very much, Frog. Alright, now let's go turn this in. I want to turn this in first. Yeah, absolutely, Seth. Oh, that's not what I want. I mean, I do want to go there eventually, but... Oh, yeah. That's why that turns in there. Yeah. I remember now. My bad. Okay, let's go up here and kick the butt of this guy who's incredibly angry. Come here, you. Beginning to remember just how hard this guy hits. Which would be a ton of bricks. Better use my wings, because, you know, in the tough fights, I always use my wings in the tough fights. Yeah, it didn't work. Running out of that circle. I'm just not fast enough to run out of that circle. Even as a paladin. Yeah. It can be for sure, Seth. It's with people. A lot of people, it's the way they look at leveling is wrong. They look at leveling as something that has to be done in order to get to the game, a chore, something that's hard, something that's boring. It's not. It's really not. When what they really should be looking at it as part of the game, you know, it's every bit as much a part of the game as gearing up at the end.
Hello. See you later.
Let's have a look. Life artifact. Don't use them. Don't use them. Fire. Well, I don't need that. I'll take the holy artifact. Exactly. But that is how some people see it. Exactly. It's the I always used to say this, and it became less true and more true at the same time. There's two halves to the game. The first half is leveling, and the second half is gearing. Down red. Finger. 768. We're going to replace Band of Sablehide. We're going to replace Band of Demonic Guile. That's shoulders. We don't need shoulders. Don't need Dalaran White. Need Cherry Grog. Do, however, want to power up my artifact a little bit more. Exactly. And even more than that, after you level up through your gear, Now they've given us other ways to level up by leveling up our weapon with artifacts and artifact power and relics and artifact power and, you know, other different things, you know. I love this. It's been a while since I've done this as an alliance. I just remember on the Horde side, it's always Queen's Reprisal sailors rescued. Here, Queen's Reprisal sailors slain. Well, exactly, Seth. I mean, if they don't want to pay that $60, just grind the gold in game. It's not that much. And then Blizz will happily take somebody else's money that you paid for with gold to skip you past it. Oh, who am I looking for here? Looper Allen. Yeah, that's who I'm looking for. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 3 tokens will get you the BattleNet currency you need to do it. Let's see, where is... good, we can get down here. Oh, this is not what I was looking for. I've had a couple of bits of fan art. Most of it's not been of me. The little thumbnail for my channel is a bit of fan art done by one of our regulars. I haven't seen her in a while. Called Lua Lady, who did a wonderful rendition of my Tauren Death Knight. I was incredibly flattered. I couldn't believe someone had done fan art of me. We've actually got quite a few really talented artists who watch our streams here. One who I hope is still here, I haven't heard from her in a while, is Vicky. She's an incredible artist. Amazing artist, actually. Oh, Frog's done me some fan art too. I should mention that. During my last 1 to 110, or that of this character, he drew a picture of her. Kept me going for a while. Kept the drive going. It was absolutely amazing. Let's find us some Queen's Reprisal sailors. That looks like a Queen's Reprisal sailor.
My poison is fast to act.
Yeah, probably is. Yep, 2 more levels, and in fact, 1.5, really. Yeah. But yours was awesome too. I appreciated it. You bet, Seth. We're not leaving until we get it this stream, so Blizzard would have to shut down the servers to stop me at this point. Don't even joke about that, man. That's what happened last time. Server restart in 15 minutes. No. ISP maintenance? Whose ISPs go off for maintenance? Mine never does. Yep, then it never came back. Because Blizzard loves me. Really looking forward to doing that on PTR so I could test the 7.3.5 changes. But alas, it would have to wait. Really, honestly, it's never happened to me that I've had an ISP with the maintenance. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had ISP outages, but they were never planned. Trust me. Oh yeah, no, but when I call them about it, they're like, no, it's not supposed to be out. Well, and I can understand. There's some really bad ones in the States, too. There's some bad ones here, too. Like, Rogers is supposed to be very bad. Bell was supposed to be pretty bad. Telus was bad.
Work complete.
need to find more Queen's Reprisal sailors now. Okay, Queen's Reprisal Sailor. There we go. I'll tell you a little story. I used to work for a company that outsourced technical support. One of the companies that we outsourced to was probably the biggest ISP in the United States, Comcast. Most of the even a lot of the people who don't get through Comcast actually get through Comcast because Comcast has bought out so many of the smaller companies. Oh yeah. And because we were outsourced, we had we actually had a thing in every booth that said, your call does not go over 10.5 minutes. Hang up. Even if you're in mid-sentence at 10.5 minutes, you have to hang up. No matter what. Now, I asked the reason for this. It took a little bit of digging because, of course, the bosses that worked for Comcast, for our company, didn't want to say. But I think there's a Queen's Reprisal Sailor. There's one right here. Some of my friends who were higher up in the company I was working for told me what it was. They said they did a long, something like 10-year survey because they'd been doing Comcast support for that long, and they figured out that in order to make it profitable for them to do, for Comcast to have a service call through an outsourced provider, the call could not go longer than 10.5 minutes. Yep, exactly. Exactly, Seth. You know what I'm talking about. I worked for Convergys. That was also how I got hooked up with Microsoft. I was on the Windows XP project. Did you work for Convergys, Seth? Here in Edmonton? I might have known you.
Looking for something specific?
Tenant. The Greyfang Enclave in Dalaran. Oh, you must have known somebody who worked there then. Or heard the stories. Or heard my story, maybe. I have told this story before. Oh, there you go. As I said, you knew somebody who worked there or have heard about them working for Comcast. They are all over North America. And, like I say, that was how that was figured out. They figured out that with how much Comcast paid them per call, and all that, it was only feasible at 10.5 minutes. At that point, you were required to hang up. This is a bit of a shock for me because before that, I worked on the Microsoft project, where I had calls that lasted 16 hours. Oh.
I have many, many wares.
Let's have a look and see which one we're going to replace is Azure Wing Signet of the Fever Flare.
Good fortune to our friends.
Ooh, very nice.
I have many lucky doos you like. May your feet find good trails.
I get you. I get you. Hey, trust me, dude, it wasn't our fault. As I said, we had little notes all through our little cubicles talking about stuff that we had to do before we could send a truck. The rep hung up on me. Telling you, I worked the Comcast project for a week, and I hadn't even been there a week because there was 2 weeks of training. So by the time I had finished my 2 weeks of training, I had already applied for Dell, had my first interview for Dell, which was a non-outsourced call center, which I was so happy about. And by the time a week had passed on the Comcast project, I had my second and third interview with Dell and been hired. I gave 1 week's notice and I was just gone. Because the rules were draconian. It was like, before you can send out a truck, you have to do this. You have to make sure the customer's called in at least 3 times, and this, that, and the other. I was, let's just say, less than 100% pleased at having to work for them. Because customer service was something I always kind of prided myself on. As did everybody who worked in the Microsoft project. It was a big thing for us. You know? We quite simply didn't care. We weren't paid by the call. Microsoft literally paid us by the hour just for that reason. Or Microsoft paid Comcast or Converge us by the hour. It was also one of the reasons why eventually Microsoft had to centralize their Convergys operations over 5,000 miles away from where I was living, so that was why I got shifted onto the Comcast project, which eventually led me to Dell. Oh, yeah, don't even talk to me. I'll tell you a little interesting story. My dad once talked to me. because when he was a kid, he worked for a collection agency. He worked there for a couple of weeks too,
Deals for a friend.
because they literally told him when he worked there that they didn't care if he broke the law as long as he got the money, right? Breaking the law didn't matter. You got to get the money. Where am I turning this in? Oh, no, because Microsoft didn't care about that, about the call times. They paid Convergys by the hour, right? So they were already paying for staff for that many hours. And yeah, no, I know. When I'm on a 16-hour call, that means I'm getting 8 hours of overtime. But at the same time, I could literally go to them and go to Convergys and go, look, this is what the call is. We're doing a flat nuke and pave. The customer has specifically asked me to stay online with them because we were completely formatting the hard drive and reinstalling Windows. And that was one of the core things that Microsoft supported. They said Microsoft straight up said, we don't care how long it takes for that. We want them to have a clean working Windows system. You got to understand, at the time, one of their main things was they didn't support antivirus or spyware removal at all, in any way, shape, or form. The only thing they would do for that is format the hard drive and reinstall, because they never wanted to get involved in antivirus and spyware removal because of the legal ramifications, especially when they were doing a lot of their tech support outsourced. So it was actually cheaper for Microsoft to pay for any amount of hourly wages than to have a single antivirus or spyware lawsuit. So they would pay for whatever it took for us to format that hard drive, reinstall Windows properly, and get the customer off and running. We didn't support installing drivers. We would send them off to their hardware manufacturers for that. But as far as doing a nuke and pave, we would do that for them. And if the customer was skittish and wanted us on the phone, even if they were doing something we didn't support, we would sit there on the phone with them. It was all about the law, about making sure there were no lawsuits. It was a very bad time back then, because when I started at Convergys, here I'm just going to click this while I'm doing it. When I started at Convergys, there was no such thing as firewall being on by default. Anytime you had a firewall on, you had to turn it on manually. Windows Service Pack 2, which came in after I did, was the first version of Windows that had a firewall on by default. So they were very, very keen to pay whatever it cost in wages, as long as they didn't have a single lawsuit. So they didn't care. I'm going to take one last bio break before I go get my last level and a quarter. And when I come back, I'll tell you about that support call if anybody in the chat is even the slightest bit interested. But for right now, I'm going to mute my microphone and camera and take a little bio break here. So I will be right back. And we are back. Well, this isn't a funny one so much as it was annoying. It's a bit technical. That's why I caveated that. I could tell you about some of my other more funny stories, though. I don't know if you've ever heard the old tech support joke about the guy who called into tech support, and the tech support agent got so frustrated with him, he says, "Oh, thank you. Welcome back." He says, "Okay, this is the next step we're going to take. You're going to put your computer back in the box it came from, send it back to the store because you're too dumb to own the computer." That was a very crude joke. And nobody ever actually liked it because customer service, as I said, was a big is a big thing with us, right? So we see, I haven't done this one very much on the Alliance. How did you want me to inspect the deck guns again? I have to follow her around. Okay.
Victory in battle is the only. I don't have a target.
Carried up there with the coffee cup holder on, but that's not the story I'm going to tell you. So, I had this call, and this was during Hurricane Katrina.
The new guns could bag a wyvern at full speed from 300 meters. Go ahead, have a look.
We got lots of really weird calls. This one guy called me, and this was when I was working for Dell, because I was supporting hardware at the time. And he says, "My computer won't turn on." He says, "It just turned itself off, and now it won't turn back on." And I says, "Okay." So we went through a couple of things, and one of the first things you do is you remove points of failure, right? So the first thing we usually do is, I said, "Is there any lights on the computer?" He says, "Nope, nope, all my lights are out." I says, "Okay, so it's probably not getting power." I said, "One of the first things we usually do is swap the power cord from the computer to the monitor because they're interchangeable." I said, "Can you do that for me?" I said, "Can you, swap them?" He says, "I don't think so." He says, "It's really dark down there. I don't want to take my candle down there." Well, he says, "I might catch something on fire." I said, "Well, why are you using a candle?" He says, "Well, the power's been out for a day and a half." I says, "Power's been out for a day and a half?" I says, "Well, that's probably why your computer's not working." Yeah, always start with the physical layer, and you remove points of failure, right? He says, I said, "Your computer cannot possibly work without power." And he says to me, he says, "Well, it worked for the first couple hours after the power went out." I says, "Oh." He says, "Oh, you have a UPS, don't you? Uninterruptible power supply." And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Sir, those things run on batteries." I said, "Eventually that battery runs out. It's meant so that you have time to save your work before your computer goes down. It's not meant for you to run your computer for days at a time without power on." "Oh, that's not what the salesman told me." He said, "I got it at Best Buy." "Oh, you might want to go have a talk with that salesman." The power was out. Yep. What the? Okay, what do I just talk to Greymane or?
What's the situation? For the Alliance.
I thought we were already in Stormheim, but okay. Man, the deck guns, that's what I was about to do when all of a sudden I got ported back to Stormwind. Oh, come on!
Victory in battle is the only path to peace. This is the most powerful ship in the fleet.
Any luck contacting the fleet?
Okay, it looks like this is about to start proper.
It's no use. The weather systems around Stormheim are too strong. I can't get a signal through.
Cease bombardment! Man the deck guns! All hands, prepare for contact with the enemy!
Okay, gotta wait for the order to man the deck guns, apparently. Otherwise, you get ported back to Stormwind for some odd reason.
Main cannons, prepare for a second volley as we reach the cloud line. Bring us in! Enemy flyers incoming! All guns! Fire at will!
Hey, Will Webster, doing good. How you doing, man?
A boarding party on the deck!
Yeah. Customer service can be like that. I tend to find you can diffuse just about any situation if you know enough about what you're doing. You know? Like if you're diligent at your job, you have good knowledge of the product, and your company's devoted to customer service, you can diffuse just about anything. The problem with doing customer service back then, and you know when I did it as well, is that people by then there were so many automated phone systems.
Move out! Storm those ships and find Sylvanas! Griffin Riders, back them up!
That by the time people got through to an actual person, they were just about ready to pop. And if you understood that and you know dealt with them like human beings and had patience, a lot of times you could diffuse just about anything. That 16-hour call I talked about was like that. Hey, I've worked in that type of call center too.
Slay these unholy creatures for the Alliance!
I once ran a call center, actually ran it for our local Kirby dealership selling vacuum cleaners. It was the first time my back got hurt. I was selling vacuum cleaners door to door, and when my back got hurt, so that I still had income coming in, they put me in charge of the call center, and we had a very similar rule of not being able to hang up for any reason. And as we were trying to sell people something and they knew it, they were very not ready to to be nice to us. Very ready to be not nice to us, I should say.
That doesn't look like Westfall stew in those cauldrons.
They're all funnier looking back, aren't they?
No sign of her. Let's keep looking.
I think one of the funniest calls I ever had, most shocking in any case, was
He's the captain!
again during Hurricane Katrina. Because I was talking to this nice lady, and she was in her hotel room, and they hadn't evacuated her properly, in my opinion, anyway, because she could still see, like she was still in the hurricane zone, but they had her in a hotel, so she was working on her computer and needed some help with Windows, and she was telling me what the hurricane looked like, because she was looking out her window while she was working on her computer at a hotel. Because the one thing she grabbed was her desktop computer, and she was trying to figure out a way to get it to work because she didn't have all the parts. And then when she did finally get parts, her Windows wouldn't boot up properly. Oh yeah, for sure. No, for sure, man. And I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't enjoy it. And I think eventually it had a negative effect on my health. Because I'm just not the type of person who can get mad like that.
She may have information.
You're too late. The Dark Lady is already gone. And your ship is already doomed.
The Skyfire is being overrun. Come on, we have to help. So many bats. They're trying to bring the ship down from the inside.
Oh yes. With where you would take the powder and show them how nice and oily it was.
Greetings. How can I help?
The first aid trainer there. Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to be removing these volatile flares. Yeah, I remember. Dust mites. Dead skin cells, all that's good stuff. I was selling Kirby in 1994, I think it was. So, the model I was selling was called the G4. I liked it. It was a really nice vacuum cleaner. I was good at selling them.
It's no use. The ammunition has caught fire. Quickly up the stairs.
Hey, Nathanos. Yeah. You don't know me. I only play Alliance. Don't remember this when I need you for quests and stuff on my Horde characters because I don't have any, you know? Tis interesting watching this whole entrance from a different point of view. Oh look, the spammer's back. Yay, I've still made it. The spammer came back. Nice.
Can you repeat that? Victory in battle is the only path to peace. Do your duty, soldier.
Let's see. Okay, let's slay some Forsaken and Skyfire First Aid Kit, Crystal Oscillator, Transponder Battery, Forsaken Slain. I can do that. What am I looking for here? Forsaken Slain. Indeed. I like it. Oh. No, don't, no, not off the cliff. No, not going up the cliff. not dragging me off the cliff with you, forsaken Deathstalker. No. This is one of those treasure chests that would have been a skill get. Back before flying. I think I've done this side once through the Alliance, so... Indeed. Indeed there are. Whitewater Typhoon. Dear, that reminds me, I still owe you guys a jig at some point. Keep forgetting I'm not playing my monk, because usually when something silences me and I'm a monk, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't actually affect any of my abilities. But as a paladin, it sure does. I sat down instead of grabbing the thing I needed.
Work complete.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing them for the XP, because they do give a decent amount of XP. So if they're sitting right there, I figure why not? Use my cooldowns when I'm fighting a tougher guy. I don't want to get called out or nothing.
Work complete.
What's the situation? Hello, can I help you?
There we go. One level left, boys and girls. That's okay, Vicky. You'll get there. I'm sure it is. I just... you know. I'm a bad paladin. Thank you. Blessing of Freedom is control, this one. Minus, I think. Control minus. Let's go charge the transponder. What's this? Oh, I don't need order all resources. How am I supposed to charge this transponder? Oh, that's right. Oh, this is just like that silly world quest I can never do right. It's actually up here. I remember. I remember now. I may be a bad paladin, but eventually I remember. Oh, that's right, Vicky. You're like Scottish, if I remember correctly. That looks like it might charge a transponder. Oh, thank you, Seth. No worries, it wasn't that long ago. I think we were talking about call centers and vacuum cleaners and all that kind of stuff when it happened. You still alive, you little storm drake? Fix that for you. Thank you for calling Microsoft Windows XP support. My name is Cop. How can I help you today? Thank you for calling Dell Technical Desktop Support. My name is Cop. Can I start with your name and your computer system, please? Ooh. I actually had flashbacks after that. I didn't defend the angry plant man's rights to eat humans. I said they were wrong to eat humans. That's fake news. Fake news. I said I drew the line at eating humans. Telling you right now, we need to build a wall to keep those plant men out. I'm pretty sure I can make them pay for it.
Work complete.
Yeah. Until our next, until our next 1 to 110, that'll be in the future. Not triggering me. I'm actively trying to force myself to not loot. And I'm having trouble doing it. I'm going to turn this other one in first. Then I'll go speak with Knight Captain Rhodes. Normally, looting is my big thing. But a buddy of mine who's done many 1 to max level streams kind of pointed out that it takes time.
Strength alone will not win what you seek, but it will get you started.
He's
Find
not
me
vile.
here at
Just
Ramar's,
misunderstood.
and I will put your strength to the test.
Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll leave that one for now and I'll go do this because it's a bit more familiar for me. So I've only done the Alliance quest line once. But I am going to pick up this other quest just in case. Oh, I don't want a grapple launcher. Don't make me take a grapple launcher. So to answer your question, Seth, not looting is slightly triggering me. And I'm the one doing it.
Listen well. The vault before you holds not gold, but wisdom. Jotnar is its lock, and glory is its key. Forge a key in the blood of champions, and perhaps the lock will turn. Inside, you will find paths and more.
Time that could be used leveling. If I'm going to trim approximately 20 hours off my time, I'm going to need to do stuff like that.
Work complete.
Yeah, exactly. Ah, that's awesome.
I've been expecting you.
Actually, this now is probably a good time to sort my bags.
I have many lucky doos. You like?
That's head, we don't need it. That's chest, we don't need it. Artifact power, might as well keep it. Shoulder, we don't need it. Grapple launcher, I don't need it, but I'm going to have to keep it. Artifact power, we'll put it down here for now, just so it's out of the way. Sorted.
May your feet find good trails.
I think the treasure chest is, of course, not in the first one I go into. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. However, I would also agree, F the darn spider. I'm sorry, I have really severe arachnophobia. I cannot take spiders. I would have been saying that after 2 minutes. I'd have been chanting it. I've been walking up and down the aisle of the plane until the air marshal got me.
It's too far away.
Now, there's always room for some, change in philosophy, right?
I can't carry any more of those.
The rightful champion is nowhere to be found. Oh, the heads of the other champions will not go somewhere.
Think about how much gas environmental protection lawyers and advocates use each year flying to all those different symposiums they go to. Burn this flag. Give me some of the num percentages. That being said, I do respect where that type of that type of attitude comes from. Yeah. It depends, right? Like like I say, I respect where that kind of thing comes from either way, so. I'm exactly 14% away from leveling. Although I do have a certain McDonald's cartoon, or commercial in my head, rather. Keeps going off in my head. Ba 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 ba, I'm loving it. We gon' get this done. At the end of the day, what I might have to do, seeing as how late this has gone, I might have to take tomorrow off and not have an old school day this week. Because just so we can complete this. %. I get that. I do. You did want some big body pulls, right? That was what you said, big body pulls? I'm pretty sure that's what you said, body pulls. Alright, Prague, have a great night. And thank you for the early grats. We'll probably see you in the stream for when I raid on Tuesday. We are definitely getting there, boys and girls. Definitely getting there. go down here. Body pulls. I'm pretty sure that's what everybody wanted, was some body pulls. Ooh, looky. Respawns. Time to die. See, now I'm just getting silly.
Your ancient rites and rituals mean nothing to me, Yona. I will conquer your tribes and take the Aegis for my own. Cower here in your cave while it still stands. The gods will not tolerate your actions, Raikul. You will answer for your heresy.
One, it's too fast. Two, I don't like someone else having control of the pace. I don't tank or heal, so there's no way I'm controlling the pace. This keeps everything in my court. Hey, crazy JJ, absolutely. We were gonna get it done one way or another tonight, so I didn't want to have to do a third let's finish this off stream. Or fourth let's finish this off stream, rather. So, morning, crazy JJ. Yeah, pretty much. I don't even think it'll be 500 mobs, to be frank. I think it'll be a lot less than that at the end of the day. Right now, I'm not. Because we've only been streaming for 13 and a half hours. I figured we'd be 12 today, so this isn't bad.
Powering up archive device.
Yeah. And the other reason I like to not do dungeons is the whole reason I play this game is for the story, right? The reason I play any RPG is for the story. So, you get way more story this way, and I love the stories that they have. I love the lore, I love the game, and this is the best way to experience it, in my humble opinion.
Archive device power at 75%.
Oh yeah, dungeons have lore, don't get me wrong. It's just I experience more of it this way. Plus it's too quick.
Archive device activated.
Especially since I'm not controlling the pace. I said this to my buddy Harry, for whom this tune is named. And that was, he wanted to just do a dual stream with 2 of us leveling 1 to 110. I don't have the patience to do it with another person. I don't. I mean, I have a lot of patience. But to do it with 5 other people, even if you're doing dungeons the whole way, no. Not a 1 to 110.
Work complete.
Yeah, true enough. That's the point. There's going to come a point where, if you're not exactly on the same wavelength, there's going to come a point where you're no longer in the same bracket. And at that point, there are going to be mad people. It would just would destroy my brain. I honestly cannot imagine how some people have the patience to run a guild. That's beyond me.
And grant its power to us. This land will be ours.
Like I say, I'm not adverse to doing stuff with viewers. Just we haven't. Most of the stuff I want to do is I want to do solo.
Archive device activated. The record is now accessible.
Work complete. At the end of their life, a Raikul's worth is determined by the creators of
Kappa.
If you wish to claim the Aegis, seek these ancient rulers and prove to them your
Oh, don't get me wrong. I've done recruit a friend with buddies, and
only those deemed
wow, was that quick!
pass the trial of valor.
I mean, that was insanely quick and sick, and because you get 300% experience as long as you're within a certain range of each other, right? Nice. Like I say, to me, I don't like the idea of power leveling anyway. Because that's not what this is to me. Even the 1 to 110 is not power leveling to me. Like it's inside this cave. I'm trying to remember where this part is. Well, at least it's a treasure. Yeah, that actually would be really cool. It's not in the cave. Oh, I actually have to go inside. Oh! I kept thinking there's another thing I have to go and activate. Do, 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 do. Let me read this again. Well, and that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy grinding gold by doing old raids, because I get a chance to do just that. I get a chance to really explore and look at what I want to look at. You know, take my time.
The keeper of this vault, it is my duty to test the might of those who wish to proceed. Prepare yourself.
Exactly.
That is enough, outsider. Unbelievable. Decades of waiting without a worthy challenger, only to be beaten twice in
Like I say, while I'm trying to reduce the time, for me this is a lot more about endurance than it is about speed.
at the vault's entrance, and I will grant you the blessing of the Watchers. You have shown true valor today, and for this I shall grant you a boon. Hold aloft your weapon, outsider, and receive a gift from the Titans. It is done. Complete. May our power aid you when you need it most.
Like I say, that's why I solo old raids for gold, because it for sure. I don't really need to do this. Do the artifact power, I mean. But I like to be complete. Yeah, you know, these days you have to read ahead.
Many wares.
Figure out exactly what you're doing. How you're going to do it. Oh, I have to get rid of my polished Dukin ring.
Good fortune to our friends.
Wow. honestly, that's going to depend greatly on your guild too. Oh yeah, I'm an alliance, Mike. That's the horde spot right here. I don't have a flight path there. Silly cop. That's oversimplifying a little bit, don't you think?
It's good to see you. The Rykul aren't known for their hospitality.
I mean, in a Sudoku book, the skill is entirely in figuring out the answer. In a raid, most of the skill is in implementing the answer, right? I mean, especially with the dungeon journal these days, or the adventure guide, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, the adventure guide essentially gives you all the mechanics. And then finding out how exactly those mechanics work doesn't really take that long. It's figuring out how to deal with the mechanics that's a problem. Hang on.
What is it?
Yeah, but again, that's like comparing apples and oranges, though. Because the difficulty in Classic wasn't the bosses, it was getting 40 people together and coordinated. Oh, I get you. I'm just saying. You can't say that about Classic, though, because, again, Classic, it wasn't... Figuring out how to do the bosses wasn't the tough part. The tough part was getting the 40 people together. And coordinated. And doing the right thing.
Champion, over here. Quick, before the dregs catch your scent. Make it quick.
Okay, let's go get these two. Oh, for sure. And that's perfectly valid. I feel like one of the quests didn't go to Mike. And Mavity, that's exactly why, you know, some people power level and some people don't do dungeons. And Try to do 1-to-110s with just heirlooms. Oh, for sure. Yeah, we're going to make everybody happy. Thing is finding a nice balance. Oh, for sure. As I say, there's nothing wrong with that. It is, in fact, a very good way to look at it, and it fits right in with what way I like to look at it. Hey, don't laugh. I played Kick the Can. That is a fun game.
Work complete.
The problem with that is power creep, though. I mean, if you're going to have a reward that's for solo versus a reward that's for 20 people in Mythic, or, 30 people in a Heroic, how do you scale that without having the people who do Mythics being so far above the people who are soloing that soloing is not useful to anybody? You just gonna stay up there, you derpy Stormdrake? Yeah. True enough, Seth. The closest I'd probably come is Witcher 3 for that kind of thing. Look at this. These Stormdrakes, they're hitting me at the same time. Like, how? Come here, you. Don't try and fly away and hit me from ranged. All I'm saying is it would be a horrendous problem to try and balance. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying it's a tremendous problem to try and balance. And that's agreed, Seth. And it would be a lot worse if you tried to balance it solo against Mythic.
Work complete.
I mean, you're talking about having eye levels in a single expansion that would have to range in the hundreds, if not 1,000. I mean, can you imagine having a Mythic Raider with an eye level of 12,000 and a solo Raider with an eye level of 4,000? Because that's what you're talking about in order to get it to balance right.
What is it?
$118, $21.45, $161. Hey, Caparolin, thanks for dropping by. Glad to have you. Go destroy some harpoon launchers. Okay, I clicked on the harpoon launcher and somehow jumped down to this guy. Oh, man. No, Kappa. This is a tune that was a 1 to 110 challenge, and we're just finishing it off. We're getting some experience for our next one. I'm doing it to make a point, because in order to do that, you can't have an eye level that for an expansion that's only 200 eye level, because there's so much difference in power between what a single person can do and what 30 people in heroic can do. We're talking about way more than 30 times the power. That's all I'm saying. You would have to pump the eye level up so high on the high end in order to have anything on the low end, and then you've got people who are the same level, who've done the same content, one who has 30 times as much player power as the other one. Because if you want to scale the gear based on how many people there are in the raid, right, down to solo, that's what you're looking at. Yeah, but you can't do that, Seth. You can't do that. Because there's just no room for it. The boss, if you have the boss have this being able to be soloed, okay, versus only being able to be taken down by 30 people. That means that boss is 30 times less powerful when it's being soloed. You know, has 1/30th the health, 1/30th. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can't tune it down like that without hugely inflating the eye level and having a huge spread. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. If you do that, then the players who are doing heroic have to be so much more powerful than the players who are doing solo that you have to scale the gear too. You know, if the mob's doing 30 times as much damage, then you know what? Your tank better have 30 times better gear. That's all I'm saying. Like, there's no, you can't not have a huge gap that way. You just can't. It would never be balanced right. That's all I'm saying, is that you need to find some way to spread the player power enough that the boss was the same boss. Of course it is. But there's... Of course it is. But there's a difference between scaling a boss down to 10 man and scaling it down to 1 man. There's an insane amount of difference. 1 man has no healer or DPS or tank. You know, you only have one of those roles. So then you have to scale the boss to which one of those roles the guy's doing. Yeah, that's fine. But again, you still have a spread of DPS, tanks, and healers. If you scale the boss down to 1, you've only got a tank, or a healer, or a DPS. So your scaling goes way off the charts. And honestly, most raiders that I know would prefer to scale the boss up to as many players as possible, because they get more loot that way. Yeah, but all I'm saying is, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm saying you would have to spread the eye level so far that a Blizzard would never do it. It's way too much balancing for them. And again, you're talking about making huge, huge changes to the gear to the point where there becomes a problem with balancing the gear for one-person content versus the gear for a 30-player content. It's too much of a spread to be balanced properly. 10 versus 30 is already a balance problem for Blizzard. Yeah, it's not the same boss. But that's the point. If you're going to make make it for one player, you're taking that problem of it not being the same boss to the nth degree, and Blizzard won't go for that. Okay. Just need probably 1 or 2 more little things to get the... There we go. Oh yeah, I remember this. You have to actually go through the tower. like I say, I get what you're saying, Seth, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. My problem is that it's a scaling issue for Blizzard, and it's a balancing issue, and it's something that to them would never be worth it, right?
Work complete.
Make it quick. You go ahead. I'll report back to Greymane. Good luck, champion.
Yeah. Well, like I say, and that's the whole thing, right? Like, in order to get it to work, the gaps would be too much, at least in my opinion. So. Like I say, it's an interesting idea, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Work on your weapon, outsider. I do not wish to harm you.
Yeah, well, that's what I said, and my response was very simple. I said that's why I like doing gold farming in old raids, because you can take the time to look at the beauty of a raid. You just have to wait an expansion or two, and you can enjoy it. Yeah, like I said, I personally game for story.
Kneel to the God King.
At the end of the day, guys, let's just agree to disagree about even what we're talking about and move on with less controversial subjects. Like the fact that I'm only 16% away. 111,000 experience. $111,000 experience. I think you can still get ahead of the curve, but or not ahead of the curve, but you can still get a lot of the achievements for Toon. Because it's still technically current, the current expansion, if not the most current content. Yeah, I think Argus catch-up gear is more than good enough to do that. Because, I mean, let's have a quick peek. We look at the raids, right? We look at the Legion raids. And we look at Tomb of Sargeras normal gear. Let's look at the normal loot. It's 900. 910. 900, 910. So, Argus catch-up gear is 910. Okay? So, it's going to be as good, if not better, than what you're getting in normal normal Tomb of Sargeras. So there should be no reason why you couldn't do heroic with it. Well, some people like to get the meta achievement so they can get a mount, you know? I do believe there is a meta achievement for the mount. Hey, Tomb Raider. Like Glory of the Legion Raider, you can get a Grove Defiler. You know, Glory of the Argus Raider, you get a Gloomhound. Oh, absolutely, Seth, and I totally agree with that. As you know, I've said that many times. That being said, I am trying to become a Mythic Raider.
Complete.
I am free. You are a true savior, outsider.
Let's see, where is the path up? There it is.
He will take you to the summit.
How much are each of these quests giving? 16k? Ooh, I'm going to be very close very soon.
I stand with you.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And that's... Everything's Drivus. I like to think it was just more of a rousing discussion about a way something, a new idea could be implemented than anything.
The Drakaj'ar have upset our ancient pact. It is time they face the consequences.
Guys, any one of these quests now could do it.
The Drakaj'ar must pay. The storm will not of this land.
Like this one should give 16k. Plus, yeah, this might even do it right here, guys.
And you have also gained an ally. Hold aloft your weapon, outsider. Accept the power of storm and thunder as a gift for your selfless acts. Hear the call of the storm.
Let's see, what do we got? We got... I know it doesn't matter at this point. No, that's... I don't want fire because I've already got a purple there. That's the height of that. So no fire. We want a holy if we can find it. Nope, none of those. So whichever one is the most expensive. 1551. 67.
Take wing with Bethir, friend, and show these Vrykul the true fury of the
I am 3.1k away. 3.1k. I'm doing a big pull, man. Look at all these guys I'm killing in one shot. Look at all these guys I'm killing in one shot. All these guys are going down. Getting them all. Gonna get you. It's such a huge pull, isn't it? Look at all 150 in one pull. That's what this is going to wind up being. I don't know how I'm going to survive.
The storm will purge Stovall from this land. Suffer the wrath of the Thorinir. The storm will purge Stovall from this land.
Hey, like I said, I totally agree with that train of thought. I do.
The Thorinir owe you a debt of gratitude, outsider. Your trials are far from over. When you need me again, I shall be ready.
I got it from exploring. Look at that. I explored. As he landed, I explored a new zone and it popped. Oh my goodness. Hang on. We gotta do this. Gotta do this right now. Any further wait. Hang on. There we go, boys and girls. 76 hours, 28 minutes. 76 and a half hours. $76 and a half hours. I'm going to turn this quest in because I can't take not turning it in.
Two trials faced, and one remains. You must seek the judgment.
We did it, guys. We got in it, bro, up to 110.
But they are dead, and you.
We got it in it, bro, up to 110 in just over 3 days played. Because we already have a bronze Drake mount there, Seth. They would have to make a different one. It is, in fact, the easiest mount in the game to get. That does feel good. I know it's not Chromie. Okay, guys. I'm gonna hearth to Dalaran. Let's just see. Guys, there is absolutely nobody I follow or am friends with that is running right now. Oh, the stream is going to a bad place because it's 2:30 in the morning. I can tell already. Oh, dearie me. Guys, I want to thank everybody for hanging in with me. This was a 14-hour stream. 14 hours, 20 minutes. That is amazing for me, personally. I want to thank you all for hanging in there with me. It was absolutely... it's absolutely insane that it took this long. It was absolutely insane that we stood around instead of making another one. I'm going to pretty much cancel tomorrow's so I can get a really good sleep and get rested up for Tuesday, because I do have raid on Tuesday. And what we'll do is come back and I'll stream the raid. I will stream the raid with my guild Tuesday and possibly Wednesday. If I'm not called into the raid Wednesday, because Wednesday is Mythic Progression, and I go in about every 3 or 4 weeks. I will do a gold farming stream. Like, I'll start a gold farming stream way before the Mythic raid, and then we'll do a complete gold farming, mount farming stream, and we'll actually have a look and see how Shaw's changed from when they reverted the changes. So, a new tune. I gotta move some tunes around. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the grats. I had a blast streaming for you all. Thank you all for coming. Remember to vote in the viewer content poll if you haven't already. The link is in the description. Take care, everybody. We'll see you Tuesday night. Peace. Cop out.